Good afternoon, everyone. We welcome you to the second day of panel interview organized by Communiqué IIT Kharagpur. Me and Khushank will be hosting today's panel discussion. Today, we will be gaining very important insights about finance profile. Our seniors will be sharing their interview experience and preparation strategies, followed by a Q&A session, which will be open to all for addressing their queries.
We are elated to announce a very knowledgeable set of panelists who have secured internships in some of the top companies. Our first panelist is Mr. Dipansh Kalra, who is currently an intern at Nomura. Dipansh, could you please introduce yourself to the audience?
So hi everybody, my name is Dipansh Kalra. I'm a fourth year undergraduate student in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences. I'm from the RP Hall of Residence and I'm from Gurugram, Haryana.
Thank you, Dipansh.
Also, we have with us Mr. Bishwajit Nayak, who is an intern at Nomura company. Bishwajit, would you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Biswajit Nayak. I'm also a fourth year undergraduate student of from the chemical department in IIT Kharagpur. So I'm from M Hall of Residence and I'm from Bhubaneswar, Odisha. And I'm currently interning as a global markets analyst in Nomura.
Yeah. Thank you, Biswajit. We congratulate both of you for cracking this internship. So now we'll further proceed with the discussion.
Starting with the very first and the important question that came to mind is when and how did you both decide what portfolios you want to target and pursue further as a career in?
So I'll start. Yeah. So I chose economics as a branch because I was always interested in finance. Like I was doing a bit of investing in stock market, and I like reading about what is happening in the world, like economically. So I knew I was interested in this domain. That's why I decided to pursue economics in the first place. I think the major push that I had was when I got into business club in my first year. Like in the knowledge meets in business club, I really got introduced to like the concepts of finance that are used in the corporate world. So they taught me about time value of money, fundamental analysis, technical analysis, derivatives. So I think that was a major push into that direction. And I did a lot of case studies in my first year and second year. Some of them were related to finance. I think the big case study that really changed my direction was M&A analysis that I did in my summers. That was related to merger and acquisition. And I got to introduce to like concept of valuation. So I think these things really pushed me into the direction of finance. Then finance, I was targeting again product roles, and this summer I also prepped for data science roles.
Well, that was an interesting insight. Biswajit, what was your experience?
Yeah, so if I speak for myself, then there has been a difference in what I'd say what I was thinking while I was taking the decision to pursue finance and how it has turned out of late. So back, I decided prepping for CDC, I remember in December, right? So that was the time when I was narrowing down everything and deciding onto one profile. So first of all, I did not primarily focus on finance. I was open to any non-tech profile, but then to top it down, so where I saw I had the best chance at CDC, wherever I had the best shot. So what I thought is, there is a fixed path or roadmap which I can, easily follow and tick some check marks, and I'll be able to get a good shot at finance. So that was the reason why I decided to pursue finance. No inclination as in I had an interest or anything. I enjoyed it a lot, but that is how it has turned out to be. I mean, the decision, once again, as I said, it was mostly about how to, get a day one offer in CDC. But of late, I'd say I've enjoyed it a lot. I've had experiences in finance. I had also done a M&A case competition in IIT Delhi where we had emerged as the national winners. But and after that, I had my CFA L1 cleared as well. So all of these things, I'd say they have turned out in the hindsight, not as a primary factor. Primary factor was, once again, wherever I had the best shot in CDC, I went after that. But now speaking, I've really enjoyed the markets, how the global economy, the macroeconomics, how they shape dynamics. So basically, I love these things. I love reading about them a lot. I read FT, I read Mint articles each and every day, and I think that has become more of a habit and passion. So I've developed interest in finance after taking a decision to, go or pursue finance. So that is how it has turned out for me.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing your journey with us.
Moving further, panelists, can you please outline your selection process for the companies which you are interning right now? So,
Hmm. For the selection process, first they come for two roles, no, like global markets and wholesale strategy. The global markets is pure finance role, while wholesale strategy is a bit of a strategy or a consult type role. So initially they shortlist about 40 people for both the roles for a GD round. And the GD round is any topic related to economics that is happening. It could what it was in my time was like how should India host their own Olympics, like does it make sense for them? Or another topic was for me was related to quick commerce and how it's shaping the Indian economy. So any recent news in the economy, that is what they're asked in the group discussion rounds. And after you have cleared the group discussion rounds, they'll shortlist about 8 to 6 people, 6 to 8 people for both the roles. And then you'll have three more rounds. The first one is a CV grilling round, like purely based on your CV. The second would be either puzzles related to probability and statistics or some basic like Python DSA questions, very basic. All they'll ask both. They'll ask like what you're more comfortable in. And after you cleared both the rounds, you'll have your HR round. Like if you got into HR round, you probably have the offer. Like HR round is just like they just do it for like I have to do it. But mostly if you get into the HR round, I've got the offer. It was a very short round for me.
Biswajit, how was your experience?
So it was the same. So as he said, Nomura comes for two roles. One is the wholesale strategy role, that it is somewhat of an intersection between finance and consulting. And the second being the global markets role. So it is a core finance role. So the process stays the same. The first is a group discussion where 45, 48 odd people get selected or shortlisted for each of the role. And then you get panels of 6 to 8 people each. Then you're given a topic. You're given roughly 2 minutes, a minute or two, to jot down the points, and then the GD begins. The GD takes around 10-15 minutes. Then everyone speaks their mind one at a time, and then someone concludes the GD as it happens. And the difference in global markets GD is that after the GD is done, everyone goes out, and then one by one, everyone is interviewed. So they basically ask a brief introduction about yourself and about the points that you had made. So they cross question. So basically, for example, I had stated a point that CPI in US has gone up or something like that. So I was asked basically what is CPI and how it is calculated. So basically, whatever points you make in the GD, so you get cross questioned on the basis of that during this very short interview after the GD. So after the group discussions are done, roughly around I think 15, 20 odd people get shortlisted for each of the role, and I think less for the wholesale strat part. But I think global markets may 15 to 20 odd people get shortlisted for the interviews. Post which, so 2 to 3 rounds for each candidate. I think two technical and one HR, or depends on the candidate. But yeah, 2 to 3 rounds of interviews.
Yeah, thank you. That was quite informative.
As you said that the first round is the CV grilling round, I would like to ask like how should someone design their CV and how the interview questions dependent on your CV, like what are some spikes that matter in the CV and in a particular in a finance role.
Mhm. So CV for a consult or a finance role are mostly same. But for a finance role, I think you'll have like five major sections. The first would be your internships, then projects, then competitions. I also had an entrepreneurial experience in my CV. Entrepreneurial experience, position of responsibility, and extracurricular activities. But for a consult role, the first thing would be your academic achievements, basically. That's a like subsection of it. Like for consult, they look for spikes like in each of your like different categories. Like if you have three, four spikes, you might get a shortlist. But for finance, mostly, they look for like as many finance-related keywords you have in your CV, in each of the things, in your internship projects. Like as they just want to see like how interested you are in finance, how interested you are in pursuing finance as a career. To put in as many things related to finance that you can. So I had my internships related to finance, my all the three of my competitions were related to finance, the projects were related to finance, or econometrics is something that they look for. Nomura in your role, you also will use some Python, some tech. So one of my interns was related to generative AI also. I think that gives you an edge. Like just not just putting your, let's say, a when VC intern or an IB intern, like putting some tech exposure into your CV also helps, like to show that you are more than just an Excel or a finance person.
Thank you, Dipansh. Viswajit, would you like to add something?
Yeah, so I think there is a slight bit of a difference between a consult CV and a finance CV. So when you write the sub points in a consult CV, it is meant to make an impact. But while in on the flip side in finance, the sub points have to be more jargon based. As he said, they should have more financial terms, to make it more sort of a technical CV. So the points to take care. So there are sections in your on your CV on the CDC portal that you will see. So I recommend having a top-heavy CV, as in starting with your awards and achievements. So good awards and achievements section when you put in 3 to 4 of your any awards or achievements. Moving forward, then your internships, 2 or 3 good internships. Then projects. Projects should be related to finance. Then competitions where you have been winner or national finalist. They should also be they don't inherently have to be in finance, but then again, any other domain competition also helps. That's not they're not restricted to finance domain as such. But these 3 to 4 things, they are the major deciders for your CV. So basically, I think finance people they love individuals who are smart, inherently smart. That's it. They should have an inclination towards finance. They should have an understanding of what they're saying, and they should be smart. And the best way to depict that is, as I said, having a top-heavy CV. So internship and projects, all in all, you can have 4 to 5 things. So in my CV, I had 4 internships and 1 project. You can have 3 internships and 2 projects, doesn't make any difference. But the point being, the project should be good and the internships should be well written on your CV. And the internships do not have to be all in a finance firm. You can show diversity, like one in an investment bank or a wealth advisory firm, pure core finance ho gaya wo. Other than that, you can have one data internship in any research intern, or any company, any corporate startup. You can have one proper data intern, because these people, if you see the global markets here in Nomura, it's actually a trading floor. So it's a support office for the foreign office traders. So they actually expect a bit of a coding skills from you. So putting that on your CV is a plus point. So that's for the internship part. For the projects, you can go for you can look up for your seniors, what sort of projects they have done. And you can just try replicating that on your own. You can do the projects on your own, then put it on your CV, not blindly copy pasting it, because they'll get to the bottom of it. So 2 good projects, yeah, 1 good project and 4 internships. So that should do it. Competitions and conferences you can put, but over the years, I don't think they have put much emphasis. I mean, I had two competitions on my CV, and they didn't ask a single question on it, so they were not interested in it either. So I mean, you can put it; it makes you look smarter, as I said, but I don't think they carry much of a value. So certification, if you have a CFA or an FRM, I think that will carry more value. So a certification, internships and projects, they'll carry your interview much for the much part of it. And I think the other things, the awards and achievements, competitions, these are things that make you look smart, which might help you during the shortlisting process or might make an impression while you are introducing yourself. But majorly, your interview is gonna be centered around internships, projects, and yeah, that's it. If you have a certification, then some questions around it. Yeah.
As you both of you said that you will take part in the M&A case competition. So how does this like case studies and conferences like HPIR and AIBC conference does like put a weight on your CV? Like they are more weightage than the internships you have done, or intern should be given more weightage?
No, I think again, like Biswit also mentioned, The competition only shows our inclination towards finance, and it's just a way to add more finance keywords in your CV. Like basically, your CV will go through an AI bot, and they'll scan all the keywords. Competition is just a way to add more finance-related keywords. Mostly that. Thinking your internships, if they're in good companies, they show that you have actually learned something. Like competition won't really show that you know things about finance. Internship does show that if it's in a good company. Mostly, an expert I don't think is of any value, like any conference or anything for a finance role. Mostly, again, good internships really push your CV.
Also going to the intern, there are two types of intern that I know, that are the startup interns and an intern in an MNC. So like, what would you prefer? Someone who should intern in at a startup doing a fast-paced work, or should involve in some MNC intern?
Hmm. So I think like it's like you could do both. I had a MNC intern and I had a startup intern. I think a startup intern helps you in your learning a bit. I think an MNC intern shows adds a bit more weightage, like a brand intern. I think if I can do both, would be I think better. I think what do you have to suggest with on that?
I also think the same. I mean, I also had one proper corporate intern and one, I'd not say startup, but a venture capital firm, so a VC fund intern. So you can do that. I mean, startups, I don't think financial services, pure financial services startups do exist, right? It's majorly the MNCs or good name players. But if you want to go for startups, they're majorly product or the new tech AI companies. So they don't carry much weightage for finance anyway, but they're a good way of filling CV. So if you want to prioritize, I'd say any day you should go for an MNC company, because the learning curve there is exponential when it comes to finance. You'll never get that sort of an exposure in a startup. And I don't think there exists too many startups in the finance domain. They're mostly fintech, which again is not, which does not exactly intersect with core corporate finance. So that's my take, yeah.
I think that was a wonderful opinion. Thank you for your opinions.
Coming down deep to the interview process, so how important is CG for the shortlisting of a company in the finance role? And also, if someone is lacking on CG, what are the tips they can follow, or how can they compensate for CG in their CV?
Okay. So during the time of CDC, my CGPA was below 8.5, and like most of my seniors advised me that your CGPA should be above 8.5. I think my batch's CGPA as an average was much lower than like my junior batches, and that is one thing to think of. But let's say your CGPA is above 8.5, that would be great. Uh, that gives you like a very good chance of getting a shortlist. Even I have seen people in my batch getting a shortlist at let's say a 7.8 or 7.7. The best thing would be to get it 8.5 plus, but if it's 8 plus also, and if you again your CGPA is not that great, but you have really good internships, really good projects, and let's say you have a CFO or FRM, having an 8 plus is a safe zone with the internships and projects, I think.
Okay, and if someone is it possible that someone has less CG in the CV, and the company has set a bar on the CG, but they take shortlist the CV just because of the internships and projects that the person has done?
Again, like the lowest CV that I saw of my friends who got shortlisted was about 7.7 and 7.8, and again they had really good internships. So I think lower bar can be to let's say 7.5 plus, but again, like if you want to be safe, 8 plus would be to place to be. Mm, mm.
Okay. So, Biswajit, would you like to add something to this?
I think it's a similar take. I mean, my CGPA during the CDC session was also CDC season was also less than 8.5, and I think most of the people who got a shortlist they had a CGPA of more than 8. So over the years, I think Nomura has a strict policy of having a CGPA bar of 8, but I think if Deutsche Bank comes this year for CDC, and it used to come before the last CDC season, so it used to shortlist people around even 7.5, 7.6. I know people who've gotten shortlisted and a PPO at a CGPA of even 7.4. So I think if DB comes this year, I think that would be a bit of a so CGPA would be sliding a little less. But I think if for Nomura, I think 8 is a cap. They are very strict regarding it. But in case someone has a CGPA less than 8, let's say 7.7 or 7.8, then also I think there is a chance. But you should have you should have a CFL1 and you should have a very good corporate intern. In a good investment bank or NBFC, a named NBFC. I think that would be something that can compensate. But then again, 7.7, 7.8 is the cap. Below that, it's the chances of getting a shortlist is dim, very dim.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. That was quite insightful.
Previous experience is, I think, like what many companies desire from the candidates in their interview rounds. So could you please elaborate on this? Like what kind of projects and what particular case comps you took on? Like what financial models and what courseworks you included in your CV? Like there are a lot of available courseworks in the online platforms.
Okay, so for projects, I think one would be, let's say, an equity research project. In equity research, you can put in a lot of keywords related to how you value, like let's say you use valuation, FCFF, FCFE valuation. Let's say you do DuPont analysis. You can do a lot of analysis for that particular stock. If you put equity research report, you can look at your senior CV. It's available online. You'll get it from your seniors. One would be that. I also had a M&A report that I did in junior IB. This is something I founded in my second year. So there also we value a company related to like every possible valuation method, and we analyze that. So I think valuation related concepts would be one. You could add option pricing using Monte Carlo simulation. I think that is a very common project people add. You could add something related to econometrics, time series analysis. You could add a ML project that is related to finance, like a quant project. Like you have analyzed some data and you've got some insights from that. I think for products that would be a good zone to cover. For competitions also, my competitions were related to personal finance, economics, and M&A. I also did like some strategy projects competitions, but again, like I mentioned, but like it's just a way to add more financial keywords mostly for projects. Internships, again, I mentioned before also. Like my one internship was in M&A, like in a CA firm, in a reputed CA firm. I had a strategy role and I had an AI role also, like in a startup. So like it should be cover a bit of finance and as well as some tech, exposure in your CV.
Viswajit, any take on this?
I think he has covered most part for the projects. So yeah, it's going to be anything related to valuation, or if you want to go into derivatives, then it can be option pricing or structuring any of that model. It can be related to econometrics like CAPM or any econometric modeling of any macro variable, something like that. You can get proxies for these projects by referring to your senior CVs. But one thing that I'd like to add is they're very stringent when it comes to projects. So like the first round of my interview, it was entirely on one project. So I had a valuation project where I tried valuing Bajaj Autos using DCF. So one entire round, so 35, 40 odd minutes, it entirely lasted on this one project. So they get to the very bottom of everything you've written. So just for the sake of copying from your seniors, do not do it. Even if you are referring to your senior CV, do the project on your own. Otherwise, they're gonna get to the bottom of it. I mean, they're very good at identifying because they grill a lot. I mean, and the grilling is not on a polite way. Is not in a polite way, I'd say. So I'd say do the projects, whatever you're putting, do it on your own. Use Excel or use Python, but do it on your own. Otherwise, you will not be able to defend yourself well during the interview. And yes, projects. So as he said, equity research or valuation on the corporate side, any one data project, any ML model or something that has an application in finance that could work, and any CAPM model or econometrics model that could also work. And when coming to internship, as I said, I believe 3 internships any 4 year can also easily do. One during this summer, he can do an MNC, a good corporate intern he can do. During his second year, he can easily do 2 internships. One research intern where he can use, data. That is one intern, and the second in any VC or product firm. I think that could add diversity to your CV. So I think 3 interns anyone can easily have. Even during my time, I had one corporate intern in Nipama, one strategy intern in a VC firm, Anthill, and 2 research interns. So I think anyone can have similar sort of, internships. So I think that's it. One data. I'm repeatedly saying because data is something I believe anyone who is studying in IIT, he should be having, exposure to data science, especially artificial intelligence, anything related to that. So otherwise, I mean, I believe you're living in a stone age. You're a caveman. So even if you do not have operational proficiency, knowledge about it is a must, and it adds to your interview. So yeah.
As mentioned by Dipansh earlier, that he was asked some DSA questions in the interview round. So, is some tech-related intern and tech-related knowledge also required in a finance role? Like one should have a tech project in its CV.
So I don't
Uh,
believe.
okay, so
Okay, so DSA. Putting the emphasis on DSA, I had made my mind straight up that if I get asked anything related to DSA, I'll firmly respond in a way that I'm not interested in DSA. I do not have experience in it. I'm rather comfortable in corporate finance, and you can ask me questions around that. So if you have something related to tech on your CV, then you can get asked. It also depends on who is interviewing you. So if the interviewer is from, an algo quants or a QIS department, index structuring team here, then you can expect some DSA questions. But then again, you can firmly hold your ground, and you can confidently say that you're not comfortable in these topics, and rather you're interested in finance, which was in my case. And you could easily divert the direction of the interview. But then I had ML on my CV, so they did ask me questions on ML and Python, which I was ready to answer. But DSA is something that I had not done ever in my life, so I was very I had made up my mind that if I get asked about this, I'll be telling that I'm not comfortable around this, and I'm rather comfortable in corporate finance or anything that has got to do with ML at least, and that's the most I can do. I think that's not an issue.
I think the same. Like they asked me very basic DSA questions, so I answered it because I have prepared some of DSA in my summers. But even if you don't know, they'll be fine with it. They don't really care much about that. They mostly care about the project, anything that is in your CV. If you're able to confidently answer everything in your CV, they'll be fine with that. Anything other than your CV is just like complimentary. You should be very thoroughly prepared with everything on your CV. Every small concept you have mentioned in your CV, that should be your first priority. And other than that, they'll ask you some puzzles. I think that is something that is asked in most interviews, like probability and statistic puzzles that you can easily prepare for from brain cell or 50 challenging problems. That is something that they expect from you, like basic puzzle problems. Puzzles, they ask me some like basic algebra questions also, like some mathematical questions that you can answer like with very minimum preparation.
I think that pretty much clears the doubt. Thank you for your answers.
So if we talk about the interview round, so what does the interviewer expects from you? Like if we talk about the knowledge about finance, so like Biswajit said that he was clear that he has to go into non-tech, but he was not clear to go in that he would target finance. So like how was the preparation and knowledge about finance that interviewer was expecting you?
Okay, so expectations from the interviewer. I mean, again, depends on the candidate itself. I mean, if his CV has a lot of finance projects, if he has, let's say someone has done an intern in a fixed income department, then obviously the interviewer does not expect him to know much about derivatives. If he has done, an internship in a trading firm, trading on options or something, then obviously the interviewer will not ask him questions on, fixed income or equities. He'd rather ask him about derivatives. So whatever is there on your CV, that is what defines you. And if you have great, as Dipan said, a good hold on your CV, then you'll be able to glide through it. And apart from that, if you have certifications, let's say someone has done a CFA L1 or an FRMP one, then obviously they do expect some sort of a finance from you. And so it all depends on your CV. So if you do not have any finance on your CV, then again, then they'll shift to DSA, or there must be something on your CV instead of that finance. So if you have something on a strategy side, BC, or some tech project, then they'll delve into the tech side of it. They'll ask you DSA, they'll ask you Python. So everything depends on your CV, what you have put in it, and how you're responding to it.
Okay. So, Dipansh, would you like to add something to this?
I think you mentioned it clearly. Like everything that is on your CV should be well prepared. That should be your first priority. Like most of the things that were on my CV were related to corporate finance and like FSA basically, like financial statement analysis. So I had prepared that well from like sweater notes that I used to prepare for CFA. Like something was related to portfolio optimization, and one thing was related to quant econometrics. So like any concept that you have mentioned, it would be very great if you just get into every possible depth you can. That would be suggested.
Thank you. That was very valuable.
There's a notion that the finance role are more preferable to the students enrolled in the economics department. So like how can someone from the other branch take an edge over them, or is this notion is correct or not? So Chief, would you like to answer it?
Well, I'd like to, go by data. So this year, if you see the finance profile, only the punch is the one from HSS department. But if you see last year, Nomura, both of the people who got in the GM role, nobody was from finance. Both were from chemical. Okay, one was from HSS. So fine. What I'd like to say, there is no such notion as department bias. It's generally what happens is economics people are more inclined towards finance as compared to other departments, and that's the reason there's always some or the other person from economics showing up. It has nothing to do with that degree or department written as HSS that makes them, more preferable. And ways for non-engineers to get an edge. There is no such thing to, get an edge. I think if anyone is genuinely interested in finance, first of all, economics is not finance. Economics is, one part of, very small part of that has nothing to do with corporate finance. So economic students also have to do, put in efforts on their own to study about the markets or derivatives or anything on that side. And the same goes for any non-economic student as well. The only edge is yes, economic students study economics and econometrics that is not there in as a part of curriculum for the non economic students, but that is something that they can study. The summer vacation, the 2-3 months is more than enough to study. And I don't think econometrics is also that relevant unless you have a project on that on your CV. And economics is something that can be, then again, a majority of what the economics degree students study, it's more mathematical in nature and has nothing to do with real life applications. What really matters is macroeconomics, and that is something that you can easily learn by just reading newspapers. Trust me, there's no need to study any theory. In fact, I myself have not studied any theory for macroeconomics, but I've just followed the news, the geopolitics, and articles, and that's the only thing. That's all you need to study economics. And I think that's it. There's no such thing as an extra privilege or a head start for economic students. I think they also have to put in the equal amount of effort that anyone else is putting in. So this is just a notion. I don't think this is true.
Dipansh, your take on this?
Yeah. So again, I also agree with Viswit on some part of it. I don't think that there is an economics bias. Like people from all the departments get shortlisted. It's majorly based on your CV or CGPA, your like internships and projects. Where economic students get an edge again is they do learn the theory of macroeconomics, like get into very depth of that. Econometrics is something that is actually used in financial like sub basis. So econometrics they learn in very depths. So like couple of things they learn as part of the curriculum that can be learned separately. That is true. Like time series analysis, econometrics, things like that can be learned separately. But I don't think it's a bias for economics students, just purely your CV, what you have done in your 2 or 3 years stay at IIT Kharagpur.
So like apart from the coursework that are already used in the economics department course, can someone like go through the modules of CFA and FRM to gain all these insights and knowledge?
Yeah, like like it would be best if you could like do FSA, fixed income derivatives, quant, at least read these three chapters from your Shredder note before your CDC. I think these are majorly where the questions are going to be from. So if you can do these three books before your CDC, that would be great. It would really give you very in-depth knowledge of all these concepts.
So as we have talked about now CFA and FRM, could you please also tell the audience like what it's majorly about CFA and FRM, which holds the most importance? Deepansh?
Uh, can you just repeat the question?
I said like talking about CFA and FRM, could you please tell us like what majorly is included in the CFA and FRM and which exam is considered the best among the both?
So I think FRM is very strictly risk management. It really like does not really cover a lot of finance topics. So I think CFA covers a very broad range of concepts that are used in finance. So I think CFA would be preferred over FRM. Just because of the wideness, like breadth of the curriculum of CFA. CFA would be better, and like in CFA, mostly like I mentioned before, also FSA, which is financial statement analysis, fixed income and derivatives, quantitative methods, economics, portfolio management. These are the main topics that are covered in CFA. Hmm.
Thank you for clearing this question for all of us.
Moving to the question that what are the last minute tips you would suggest someone who is sitting for the internship now? Like, what are the areas one should focus?
Yeah. So like mostly I would say that do the puzzles well, like the probability and statistics portion. Like prepare that well. Other than like really going in depth of everything that is in your CV, that would be suggested. Doing, let's say you have a lot of derivatives or fixed income things in your CV, so read FSA, like further notes for these topics, because they will really go in depth of these topics. Will really clear concepts. So these are really the last minute tips. And you can also read before your GDs and interviews, you can read pin shots or news like finance news, economic news that is happening in the world. That will really be useful in your interviews and in your GD round.
Biswajit, would you like to add something?
Yeah, so I feel, especially for non-tech profiles like finance or consulting, CDC is extremely competitive, extremely competitive. So, last minute tips would only work if you have put in your efforts for the past 1 month, right? 1.5 months. If you have put in your hard work, then only these last minute tips would work. So what I'd say is, especially if you're going for a finance role, you should follow the markets for the entirety of summer vacation. As he said, Dipanj said, you should follow any news articles, any news source. So basically, what I used to do is I used to read Mint newspaper every day. So it used to cover the news on India and some global news as well. And for overall global news, I used to read all the articles on Financial Times. Now, there are alternatives. You can search it out. This is what worked out best for me, and this is what I followed. Apart from that, to improve your financial acumen, because many a times they do ask questions out of the box. Some historical movement or some like I got asked about the Greek debt crisis that happened in 2012. I got also asked about the Asian crisis during 1997 during my interview. So the 3 rounds of interviews, first was entirely theoretically driven from the valuation project. The second one was on my internship, and the third one was where the macroeconomics and all those global affairs, current affairs came into the picture. So I don't know what was it like for the bunch, but for me they were very stringent about all these things. They asked me a lot from history as well. So how an economy steers in that sort of an environment where it is headed. So during our time, it was the election time between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. So They asked me, who do you think, they'll not ask you obviously who is going to win. They'll ask you if one of the person wins, how that's going to affect the economy. Then you'd say something about it. Then they'll ask, when has this happened in the past? How can you say that with conviction? And then you get to, cite things that have happened in the past. So for this, you need to have financial acumen. And this is not something you can develop overnight. For this, you have to study all such documentaries, all such things that have happened in the past. And for that, I think YouTube is a very good source. Every day, one or two case study you can watch. There are too many channels like Economics Explained, Macro 101, Wendover Productions, Plain Bagel. So all of these are very popular YouTube channels. You can go to their playlist or videos or any popular video. You can just go in and watch, and they'll add to your knowledge, and you'll also enjoy it. And that is the point where I actually realized, yes, I like finance and I like to go into it. So, and this interest is what is something that persists and makes you go through all the hardships. Without this interest, or if you do not enjoy what you're doing, you'll never be able to do it. The only way to know this for me, what worked is all these documentaries, all these market news, and this is what I enjoy the most about finance. So this is something I'd suggest to everyone. Follow all the markets diligently, know everything that is happening. And majorly, the economies that you can follow is US, UK, Germany, China, Japan, and India. That's it. Nothing more than that. And the equities, fixed income, and some commodities like gold, oil, and Bitcoin. These three commodities you can follow, because these all of these things, they come in handy during GDs. Like my GD topics are always based on any macroeconomic environment. So these things will come in handy, because what I felt was the differentiating factor between me and the others in my panel was I had a hard data backed facts, and they were financially sound, and I used jargons instead of speaking in layman's language, which the others in my panel were doing. So it was pretty evident that someone is well versed in finance and knows how to speak his mind, rather than someone who is not very into finance. So that is something that I'd suggest. Apart from that, know your CV inside out. Even if someone wakes you up in the middle of the night and asks you something on your CV, you should be able to defend it and explain it. So there is no alternative to that. They'll dig through everything. They'll get to the very bottom of it. So once again, I say, and Dipans has also said this: whatever is there on your CV, be very thorough. Be very thorough with it, and only put things on your CV which you're comfortable in. Like one of the very famous questions that these interviews do ask is, which asset class are you comfortable with? So you can say equities, you can say derivatives, and you can say fixed income. And what happens is, whatever asset class you say, the entire interview goes on along those lines. So I'd say equity, fixed income, and derivatives. Any one asset class at least you should be very well versed in. Like in my case, I had a intern in fixed income. I had an investment banking fixed income intern. So I had studied CFA L1 and L2 both, for only specifically for fixed income, because I had expected in questions to be around that, and I got asked questions, very technical questions as well. So do expect these. So plan your journey very strategically. Only put things on your CV where you expect questions and you're comfortable answering. And yeah, that's it. And for last minute, do not be humble, right? Even if you do not get shortlists in the initial period, do not get disheartened. Don't compare yourself with anyone else. As the popular saying goes, comparison is a thief of joy. Just focus on yourself and start, and don't put this as a very big thing, right? After the CDC is done, everyone has the same opinion. Yeah, this is just something that was on the road. This does not matter in the long run, right? So do not make a big fuss about it, but be very focused and concentrated and do your best. That's all I'll say. Don't bank on factors that are not in your hands. Control whatever is in your hand and put your best efforts. That's it. Thank you.
That was quite insightful. So, Biswajit, as you just mentioned now, like people get stressed about it. So, how did you keep like yourself confident in the interview? And does the interviewer provide you with some ease, or is he like give you time to frame your answers? And yes.
The interviewers are, yeah, yes, they try their best to keep you at ease, but confidence is something that again comes from within. So I believe As I said, I think comparison is the only thing that someone else is getting a shortlist. I'm not getting a shortlist. That is what brings all the resentment and disappointment. So that should not be the case. You should only focus on yourself and be confident. I mean, if you have put your best efforts, there is nothing more that you could have done. This is the only thing that I kept, kept in my mind, that I need to put my best efforts and whatever results. So do not be process oriented and do not be result oriented. You do your best, and whatever comes. That is not in your control. Do whatever is in your control and be confident. And there's the only way to be confident. Yeah.
Thank you, Biswajit. Would you like to add something, Dipansh?
So my experience is also same. If you have like if you're facing any difficulty during the interviewers will try to like calm you down. They'll be like, it's fine, take your time. That is something that was common for both of us. And other than that, yeah, I think one big thing that I saw like when CDC ended is that everybody had a good intern. Like most of my friends who did not even get a CDC, like some of my friends are going to Singapore, some has an intern in Switzerland, and they have good interns in good corporates, even if they did not get a CDC. So though you have to take this very like you have to do it sincerely, not seriously. Like you don't take this thing very seriously. Do it sincerely, work hard every day till the end of CDC. Work very hard but don't take it as the end of the world. You will get an intern irrespective of your CDC. You'll get a good intern if you have good knowledge, if you have actually have interest in your domain, you have worked hard, you will get a good internship either ways. So be confident you will get a good internship irrespective of your CDC, but do take this thing sincerely because CDC does bring a lot of good opportunity as well.
Great. That was quite insightful. Thank you, both of you. And I know that these tips will be very helpful to our Janta.
Moving on to the last segment of our event. Like there are many of people who are some of your first years. So what's your advice to them? How should they start exploring this field? Any resources, any funds?
Like I'll just share how I started. So I think get like learning like looking at Varsity by Zerodha. I started with like doing the fundamental analysis modules, the technical analysis modules. Sorry. And like doing some case study competitions really help you like getting a hang of like what you will be expected to do, like the concepts, like by reading the concepts, are you actually interested in these concepts? And if you're comfortable with the basic stuff, you can start easily reading the treasure notes. You can start with the quantitative methods book. If you really are interested in learning these concepts, like getting into depths of this thing, really, then you can like say that you want to get into finance. I think this is some very good start.
Iswajit, any take on this?
Well, I also started the same way, reading Varsity. But the part where I got really interested in finance, I'd say watch movies. I'm a big fan of movies, so you can actually watch movies like The Big Short, the Margin Call. Um, so any movies, there are tons of movies on the 2007-8 financial crisis. Too Big to Fall is another one. So these three movies you can watch. Barbarians at the Gate is one more. So these are the movies that I actually watched in the beginning, and that is what I enjoyed. I mean, it's at the end, it's all about enjoying your profession. If you do not like something, once again, I'm stating the previous. If you do not like something you're doing, you'll never be able to excel at it. You'll just exist, and that is not the point. So to start, I'd say once again, watch YouTube, watch documentaries. So I'm a very visual sort of a person. So I like reading and watching stuff. So that is how, and not just technical stuff, practical, historical stuff. So for that, I watched a lot of movies. I watched all sorts of documentaries on YouTube. So that is what generated or reignited that interest in me, and that then I coupled that with the theoretical knowledge from books or blogs and whatever, the CFA books. So yeah, for very starting knowledge part, Varsity is more than enough. Then I'd say delve into these documentaries or movies, then create that interest. Business acumen is also very important, so you can also watch business movies and then go into the theoretical part. And if that is something that interests you, well, then you're good to go for finance.
I think the visual part was a new take. Could you please like ask some more movies or series or document names that we can give them a try?
Okay. So I told about 4 movies on the 2007-8 financial crisis, right? More than that, um, there is one series on how interns go. I mean, I'm not able to recall the name of that series. You can watch. You can just search on this, right? Yeah, any finance movie or finance TV series. I think that would do it. And this is this is very interesting. I mean, that is not boring. A good way to learn about finance, a good way to, be excited, be uh, apprehensive of finance, and at the same time enjoying. So, yeah.
Thanks. Both of your answers were really well. Now, moving to the last, we are open to the audience to ask questions to the panelists. You can type your questions in the chat box and we will start taking it from there. Okay, so there is a question. There are certain profiles like risk analyst, risk management, and some of the finance profiles which have been made by some of the companies, specifically for MBA. Wait, so what do you think? Will in future most of the finance profiles will not be as open to undergrads? What are your opinion on this?
So,
Hmm.
can I take it?
Sure.
Yeah. So first of all, risk profile is not meant for MBA. So whoever has written it needs to get his facts right. So risk is definitely something that they only hire from tech institutes, right? So and for the other core corporate finance roles like equity research or investment banking, so those sort of roles are still something that they hire only from MBA institutes, even in India at this point. From undergraduates, they hardly hire for these roles. So from undergraduates, the best you can get is somewhat of a mix of a trading role and a corporate finance role, which is what Nomura provides. And other than that, I think at the undergraduate level, it's mostly the back offices. If you go for investment banking or equity research, you'll not get the front office roles for which they only hire from the MBA institute. So there is nothing to change in the future. This is something that has been happening for a long time and expect to happen for a long time. And risk is something that they only hire from tech institutes because it actually requires a quantist. It is a quantist type of role and it involves a lot of maths. So engineers are inherently good at maths. So yeah, they mostly hire from engineering IITs.
Um, mm, so
Dipansh,
the
can you
second
take
question.
on this?
I think my opinion is the same. Like the front office IB roles are mostly for MB graduates. But like you can get into like very boutique IB firms, let's say O3 Capital or Anthill Ventures sometimes hires like for a front office role. Like things like that. Like very small firms you could get into like for a front office role. For more majorly undergraduate levels, you'll get a trading role or a middle office or a back office role.
Thank you. Moving on to the next question.
So the next question in the chat box is ultimately for practicing the asset class, the CFA modules on each of them should be sufficient, or do we need to focus on the theoretical lectures too? Or like for example, the fixed income for government or corporate issues, or knowing the pricing, valuation, and technical mathematics is better.
I would say CFA modules are good enough. They're very in depth. Like I think this question comes from somebody who has not even not looked at CFA models. They're very in depth if you want to get in depth of any asset class.
Okay, Biswajit, would you like to add something?
No, I feel the same. I think most probably the person has not looked into the book. Combinedly, the 5 books, they're around 1,300 pages thick, right? 1,300 pages. So I'm pretty sure they're not less to say. They're more than enough to practice any asset class. And if someone wants to specifically study for any let's say he wants to learn more about valuation, learn more about fixed income, then he can only study that topic from the L2 book as well. I think that is something that I had done. Like I was preparing for fixed income for my interviews. So I studied fixed income topic from L2 as well. So that is something he can do. But I think that is comprehensive enough.
For valuation, the theoretical knowledge is something which will be boring to do from CFA modules. I think for that you can look at a video on YouTube, like for purely a DCF valuation stuff. And for derivatives, I would say doing Greeks is not mentioned in CFA modules. You can use JCL for that. Like for very small concepts, like for CFA is not enough, but for rest CFA is more than enough.
Yeah, for valuations, you can watch Ashwat Damodaran's lectures. They're very famous and they're not boring, I'd say. Yeah, valuation from CFA book L2, it's there in L2, and it's quite boring. Rather than that, you can first watch Ashwat Damodaran's lecture. They're a little fast-paced and not boring, and then you can read the theory from the L2 book. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That was quite insightful about the resources.
The next question is, what are the best resources for projects? Like, is there Kaggle or some other website? And is there some specific kind of project that we need to do?
So for DCF, you could look at Valuation School. That will give you a brief introduction to DCF. Then you will find a lot of very long DCF related videos done by actual investment bankers, like 3-4 hour long videos. You can find courses from Wall Street School. You can find courses from Breaking into Wall Street for a merger model or a DCF model. Like valuation part, you can find on YouTube very easily. And as for Damodaram, obviously, you can do that for the valuation related projects. Other than that, for derivatives valuation and stuff, also you can find on YouTube, or you could find a GitHub repo for that on the internet to learn from. I think these are the main sources.
Viswajit, any other resources would you like to mention?
Yeah, I think GitHub is a very good source if you want to do something at the intersection of data and finance, right? You get ready-made code, you can study that and you can try replicating it. That's a good source. Otherwise, for doing something, if you want to do something innovative or creative, I say ChatGPT is a very good source, right? You can write a good prompt. You can write your expectations that what are all the things that you want to do in the project, and then GPT can make good ideas. I mean, they're good to go with. Otherwise, some conventional projects are still good to go. Any valuation project, any company you pick, or an equity research report on any company or an industry, any sector thesis, all these things can be good to go with. And for that, I think I'd not suggest to look at lectures, but you can actually read these reports from any company. You can just search for an equity research report from, let's say, Anand Rathi or let's say JP Morgan. And I'm pretty sure some pretty old equity research report or sector thesis you will be able to get on the web. So I think that would be a more better source than watching YouTube. But on YouTube, you can watch Ashwat Damodaran's lectures. They're more than enough. And they give a very a good insight into why we perform valuations. Or it's basically a Bible for valuations. So you can do that. Yeah.
Thank you, Viswajit. There's the last question. A finance profile offers opportunities in various sectors, including fintech companies, traditional finance roles, and private equity or a venture capitalist firm. What is your perspective on which option is the best to target as an undergraduate or the best to start with in an industry?
I think Biswit covered that already. To start off undergraduate, if you can get a front office role somehow, that would be best. But again, the opportunities are limited for finance roles initially. Mostly you could get a fintech profile, or you could get a risk role from an undergrad or trading role. But again, that is something that are options that are available for an undergraduate student. But if you can somehow get a front office role, that would be better.
Thank you.
So we would conclude the Q&A session now. And thank you, panelists. We have almost reached an end to the session. And if I would ask you to add the points which we have left in this discussion, if you remember something.
No, I think it's completed.
Yeah, I think it's pretty done. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I'm sure that Janta have learned so much from this session. We would again like to extend heartiest congratulations to our panelists for securing successful internships. We thank you for sharing your valuable experience with us, and we'll sure get incredible benefits from them.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Viswajit.
Thank you all for
Dipansh.
joining in.
All the best, everyone, for CDC.
All the best.
This event is conducted in sponsorship with PrepNest.in. This brings us to PrepNest, a platform built for internship and placement. PrepNest offers four broad features: AI resume review, AI interviews, resource hub, and mentorship and jobs portal. The AI resume review analyzes your CV on four pillars: basics, impact, visual, and relevance. Basic scores the basic content of your resume, like contact details, education, etc. Visual scores the format of your CV, like font, layout, structure, and spacing. It also provides graph based on these four pillars, maximizing the insights you gain. Relevance shows how your relevant is CV to the job role you have selected and tells you what to add to increase the relevance. An AI agent take your AI interview with live AI generated video and audio. It gives you the feel of a real interview. You also have a resource hub where you can find the resources like Notepad and projects for different roles as shown here. Today, we launched the Job Ready Challenge. There's only 3 steps to go up with this. Step 1, sign up on the platform using the QR link below. Step 2, upload your resume and give an ARN review. Step 3, get scores and feedback on your job readiness. So Janta, scan the QR code and it read on your CV itself.
Janta, before we end this seminar, we would like to inform you that we'll continue the series of panel discussion next week also. I would like to thank our panelists for actively participating in today's event. Thank you, Biswajit. Thank you, Devanshu.
Deepansh.
Sorry, Devansh.
Okay, no worries. Anyways, have a good day, guys. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.